Hello, everybody, and welcome to race 8 of eSport E-Series for the FAI 2025. I am Jean-David Toby, and tonight I will comment this race with Witold Rojak. Witold.
Hello, Jean-David. Good to see you and good to be back here for the last race of this event.
Yeah. So your favorite commentator, Antoine, is not with us tonight because he will fly this race. He will enjoy it in the cockpit. We'll have plenty of time to see how he's flying and we'll comment any of his movements. Tonight we are on race 8, but this afternoon the race 7 goes on in Slovenia. It was a race of 241 kilometers and 66 pilots took the start. There was a bit of rain during this race, but overall a good weather, and they have to deal with some airspaces, so they flew with different tracks. We'll have a closer look on this track right now. Thank you, Timothy. So as you see, there are some airspaces they need to avoid, because if they go into it, the fly is considered as stop just when they enter it. Maybe we will see a bit the different rankings of this race. Maybe Vitol, you can say a bit about that.
Well, as we can see, Arne Martin Gertler managed to win the race with a quite impressive speed of 133.6 kilometers per hour. Looks like Davies in the second position. Because of that, Davies probably improved his chances of finishing in top 3 overall. Kuba also have done quite well. Kuba Jandruszkiewicz in position number 3. Those are the winners in the race that we had earlier today. Again, with such a good result, Kuba probably also increased his chances of getting into top 3. Now, in the fourth position, we have Zbyszek Tkocz. He's also done quite well in this. He bounced back nicely, finished in sixth position, and we must say that with this result and the overall standings, he is still a contender to win this whole competition. At the moment we've got Frank leading the competition, Frank Schwartwager from Germany, but Janez, with this result earlier today, preserves his chances to win the overall competition.
The task, we will have a close look on the task today, because the task today is 270. You can see it right now on the count of view. So this task will be quite fast. Maybe Vitold, you can comment it as you did it just before the live stream.
Excuse me. Yes, of course. So we are starting from 1,900 meters in southern Austria. The first leg is quite typical. I think the Condor pilots are quite used to fly this particular route from this airfield to the 10.1. It's going to be interesting to see which side of the track the pilots will prefer. Of course, the beginning is straightforward. They will just follow the ridge, but then there is a decision to make. I believe some pilots will try to go south to follow the ridge, which is on the southern side of the track. Some other pilots, I expect that they will decide to go a little bit further north, and we will then see who will manage to get to the first endpoint first. Well, then after the first endpoint, it's also going to be quite interesting to see which route pilots are going to prefer. I expect some pilots going north to follow the ridges on the northern side of the track. Some pilots will probably go south. So this is always great to see different choices that are available to the pilots, because that's exactly how we can determine which of those pilots is going to be the best in that particular race. Then again, after 10.2, there is going to be a bit of a challenge to get across the mountains back to the southern side. There is a weather zone on the where the second turn point is. There will be, I believe, fewer clouds. So the pilots will have to be a little bit careful about going towards the second turn point. The weather overall is quite good with moderate thermals, and on the sunny side of the mountains, we should have some good thermals. It's going to be very interesting to see what pilots will do just before turn point 3, because they will be flying south towards this turn point number 3, and they will have to cross a quite high mountain range into the wind. So I expect that a lot can happen just before the 10.3.
Yeah. So for this,
If I just may add, like after the 10.3, there is such a maze of, after 10 point, second 10 point flying towards the 10.3, there is such a maze of like valleys and mountains
yeah,
that we will have pilots all over the place, everywhere. Knowing from experience flying this sort of tasks, I know that people will make all sorts of decisions. So it's going to be really interesting to see, how they think they can get to the
sorry, as they are only able to turn left, they are not able to turn right, and 1 minute before the start, they need to be so. Yeah. Mm. Before going to the 3D views. Thank you, Timothy. Maybe just another close view to the turn point one. Better. Thank you. Maybe not just to see the pilots going to the turn point one, to have an idea of.
Yeah, looking at the altitudes on the
Yeah,
right side, it looks like there's quite a few pilots already below 1900. I think 1900 was the start altitude.
Yes.
So that would indicate that we are already racing. So apologies to the viewers. Looks like we spent a little bit too much time analyzing everything and we've missed the start a little bit. So let's have a look where everybody is.
Okay, race is on. The first group of pilots. Oh, okay. So already one small decision.
Yes.
Some pilots decided to go to the ceiling, climbing almost to 2,000 meters, and some.
Carry on. Of course, it's always a little bit of a loss if somebody stops thinking that they will catch a good thermal, but it turns out not to be that strong. That's why, as I've mentioned in our previous stream, flying a little behind might sometimes be beneficial, because if you see some, strong pilots ahead of you, just taking one turn and then pushing on, well, that means that it's properly well.
During standard racing tasks, because you don't have the same start, because we are here with the Grand Prix starts. So every pilot this needs to go at the same time, but when you have standard racing tasks, you can cross the start line in a certain amount of time. But if you go after all the people, your time just starts when you pass the start line. So this can be a strategy to let all the people going in front of you.
Yes, as you can see, I think that Alpha Mike was probably Anna was probably in this group who decided to climb after the start. So he's flying nice and high, but Kuba, who is in front of him, he did not do that. He just flew straight on. As we can see, they are pretty much at the same altitude, but
Yeah.
Kuba is a bit ahead. So it looks like going to this deviating to climb straight away after the start line was probably well, not as good as just flying along this ridge. But of course, this is just the beginning of the race. A small difference like this of a few hundred meters in terms of distance at this stage of the race makes absolutely no difference. Anything can happen. We've got a lot of distance to cover, and the race situation, I'm sure will change many times. Now we are getting to this interesting point, because now the pilots will need to make a decision. As you can see, we've got these mountains on the left side. Some pilots may decide to take that route, but also there is the mountains on the right side. They also look quite promising. So it's going to be quite interesting to see if they will split. Maybe everybody will try to fly in the same direction, or we might have the whole group splitting into just two streams of gliders flying in completely different direction.
Yeah, maybe we'll be able to see. Yes, thank you very much, Timothy. This is what you just speak about. Just after this ridge, which is exactly on the track to turn point one, we have two options: the southern options or the northern options to go to turn point one. And maybe their altitude are about, yeah, to 2000 to 2300 meters approximately. So we
Yeah,
and
it's interesting to looking at the list of
yeah,
pilots on the right. Is we can see that Yanis Echo Yankee is on the list, so he's flying today, fighting for the first place in the competition. I cannot see Oscar 9, who's Frank. I'm not sure if he is actually flying today. Well, he still has a chance to win a competition if nobody else will significantly improve. Um, but I was looking forward to seeing a battle between Yanis and Frank. I think the others we can see Davis Chaplin's DC Delta Charlie 1 as well. On I think he's on the server that we are looking at. So great, many really strong pilots and It's going to be very interesting to see what they will do. But now I think we can have a look at the leading group, because this is now the time when they will need to make a decision. As you can see, there we go. We've got Peter. I think he's close to the lead. There's just somebody, just one pilot ahead of him, and looks like these guys, as you can see, this big group decided to go to the south.
Yeah,
Looks like majority of them had decided to go to the side. Well, sorry, to the south.
yeah, that's right now. If they wanted to go to the northern option, we can see the ridges in the back of this image, and right, they are all going to the left of your screen, go south to the closest mountains. Maybe they thought that they will arrive too low to the northern options because the different ridges are not that steep. We can see that it's very progressive, and maybe they will be too low on this ridge. What do you think about that, Vitold?
Well, the thing is, I didn't want to say too much about kind of what the best option is, because obviously some of those pilots might be listening to our stream, so that would not be a very good in terms of sportsmanship. But I think that the decision, the reason why they went to the south is because there was a shorter distance between the two mountain ridges, which
Yeah.
means that they haven't lost much altitude, and they can arrive to the next ridge really high and be in a very good position to catch this cloud street, which is pretty about just above the peaks. Another thing is what you've already mentioned, Jean David, is the fact that these mountains are steeper on this side. The northern path, the mountains are well, not as steep, and if they went to the north, they would have to cross a quite wide valley first, which means that they would arrive quite low to the other side. And as we know from, for example, yesterday's stream and other races, being arriving low to the mountain range is not a very good idea. That could be very costly. So yeah, I think that the pilots who decided to go to the south have made a good decision, and they will be able to cruise at quite high speed. As we can see here, Thies over here is flying at 224 kilometers per hour, pretty much not losing altitude. So
Yeah.
I definitely like this idea, going to the south and flying really fast just under the cloud street.
Yeah, so Thies from Netherlands is actually 36 on the overall ranking in general in this E-Series competition. It is a friendly competition, but we are looking to the ranking obviously because they are fighting for the win. As you've mentioned on the previous races, it is in their soul, it is in their way to fly. They need to battle, they need to win, and this is why it is funny to watch.
Yeah, and at the moment they are all quite close to each other. We can see Felix over here, 903, also pushing close to 200 kilometers per hour. Yeah, there will be hearing a lot of alarms in the cockpits. I
Oh
think
yeah.
the flam will be shouting at them all the time. They have to look around, see where the other pilots are. But this is very exciting.
Yeah, so some of the pilots are flying with VR headsets. I think it's kind of mandatory during this type of races because you need to have a close look everywhere to fly safely. It is obviously not mandatory, but it's really a great tool. You have also head tracking or some stuff like that to be able to look everywhere around you.
Yeah,
So
Jean
yeah.
David, you touched on a very important, I think, interesting topic, especially for maybe those who are new to flying in Condor, maybe those who would like to start. The developments in terms of virtual reality has all those developments have changed the landscape of racing gliders visually. To be honest, virtual reality for Condor is just great. It's just amazing. Majority of people, everybody pretty much that I know and who has a VR headset, they would not fly without VR headsets anymore. We used to, we went as people who have been competing in Condor since Condor 1. We went pretty much through the evolution of everything that was available. We started with DIY made head trackers. There were people who went through the track IR, and
Yeah,
this is still a very viable option if, for whatever, maybe for medical reasons, somebody doesn't want to use a VR headset. Some sort of a head tracking is very, very helpful. But VR, it just takes the virtual gliding to the whole new level. It completely changes the game. It's just amazing how how realistic it is to actually fly a virtual glider with the VR headset. So
yeah.
if you're watching and if you are thinking about being really serious about virtual gliding, yeah, at least have a go. Try the way to fly the virtual gliders. Okay, let's go back to the
Yeah,
to the
let's go
race.
back to the race. We saw Felix Neuberger and all the other pilots, the group leading with Arne Martin, Gettler, and other pilots. Yes, thank you, Timothy, for this view. This was not a turn point, but all the pilots decided to turn at the same time. It was so great to watch. Thrilling way to the turn point one, really fast. Maybe Timothy will have a closer look to the average speeds right now, but they decided to turn right, joining the northern. Thank you, Timothy. The northern ridges of this valley to turn point one. The turn point one is a blue cylinder you can see in the middle of your screen. So they are flying right now at 176 kilometers per hour for Sierra X-ray Sierra and around 175 kilometers per hour. Maybe we will see multiple
Yeah,
decision. Maybe Sanders decided to go straight to turn point one, not going
yeah.
to the ridges. Maybe it will pay off. We'll see.
Well, yeah. Sander decided to go directly to the turn point without using the lift and clouds above those ridges. Well, we will see how this will pay out. But I think it was a good idea to go to the ridges and climb. Just use this lift that will be available there to just stay as high as possible. We can see
Yeah.
the guys in the back. We can see Janis, Echo Yankee, and Zbyszek being quite high. I think that's where I would like to be, really close to the peaks of those mountains and close to the cloud base where the lift is the strongest.
Yeah, and Timothy, maybe we can have a short look to if people behind Sierra X-ray Mad, behind Sander, just follow the same way. Yeah, just below him, we can see two pilots,
Right, looks like they are pushing quite, but I wonder what are
mm,
they going to do after
but
the
lower.
after the yeah after the standpoint. And by the way, I think that I've just spotted Oscar Niner, if I'm not mistaken, flying just behind this leading group over there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's great to see. Okay, looks like Frank is on the server. He is battling with Janis for the first place in this competition.
Okay, three pilots after the turn point one right now.
And
Sierra
yeah,
X-ray Lima, Sander, Alex, Alpha Echo X-ray, and Papa Papa. Papa is, let me see, Peter from Netherlands. Congratulations to, thank you, Timothy, for the three pilots joining right now the ridges, trying to climb at the same altitude as the other pilots who gain some altitude using this small ridge and going to turn point right now. The race is still really grouped. I think they are not spread a lot. We will see. It will continue to turn point two. But
It looks like Alex arrived quite low at the turn point, but they are thermaling now in a very strong thermal. So it looks like it paid off for Sander as
mhm.
well. Sierra X-ray Sierra. I think he went directly to the turn point and then came back, managed to find a really strong lift just on this south facing side of this mountain. Climbed quite quickly, and they are in a pretty good position now. So this is now interesting. Are they going to go directly east following this ridge, or are they going to jump north to the other one? We will. That's going to be quite interesting to see. So far,
Yeah.
they've all been kind of following each other, not willing to take any additional risk. But to be honest, they've all made the really good choices so far. So yeah, well done, everybody. Yeah.
So we just saw pilots turning turn point one. I just mentioned that, but we are live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. You can send us messages on different chats. I have it under my eyes, and yeah, we had some, I guess, some mic issues and sound issues at the beginning of the stream, but it should be fixed. So thank you for all the viewers who told us we had some issues. Now we can speak really clearly. Mr. Chaumont said, "What is a weather zone?" Previously, because in Condor 3 we saw the map at the beginning of this race, and there were two weather zones. Maybe Vitut, can you explain just a bit the difference between Condor 2 and 3 for the newer people flying in Condor? What is a weather zone, and what can be done with that?
Yeah, in previous versions of Condor, in Condor 1 and Condor 2, weather was more or less homogeneous, which means that the settings were the same everywhere in the landscape. At Condor 3 introduced a great new feature where task setters can assign different weather to different areas on the map, which means that the weather changes more dynamically. The pilots will have to first brief themselves and learn. This is like in real world looking at the weather forecast. They will need to check what kind of weather they can expect in different parts of the task, and they will have to plan for it. So we've got two weather zones in today's race. There is this one, as you can see right now, we see lots of very big and puffy clouds. Yeah, these conditions just look amazing. And as you can see now, hold on a
Yeah,
second,
very,
I would just stop talking about the weather zones for a second because we can
yeah,
see
yeah. Great
exactly
view
what
from
we
Timothy. Thank you.
do. You see this split of people flying to the north and to the south. That is going to be quite interesting now. Who is going to reach which group is going to reach the second endpoint in a better position? But anyway, as you can see, we've got a lot of, well, many big puffy clouds in this part of the landscape. But near the second endpoint, the clouds are going to be much smaller, possibly producing weaker lift. Maybe there will even be some blue thermals, which means that the lift will be there but will not be indicated by clouds. And then just near the end of the race, where the 10.3 is, 10.3 is located in a weather zone which has strong thermal set, which means that the conditions there will be really good. So some pilots may make different decisions based on that information.
Yeah, so very great view just a few seconds ago. Two big decisions, two big way to go to turn point two. Some pilots decided to go back to the ridge where they gained some altitudes before joining the turn point one, and other pilots decided to go northern option. So the wind is coming from approximately the south, so it is from the left of your screen right now. That's why they are using these hills. Three pilots decided to take a sun-turn option, Felix Neuberger and two other pilots. I don't know why, because there were some really downwards downwards
Yeah,
lift.
I'm not sure what Felix's idea is, because he seemed
Yeah,
to be a little bit on the lee side. Am I correct? No, he is a bit low and trying to. He will need to climb if he wants to. I think that the reasoning is that this is a more direct route. The other
yeah, I
guys, they
tried
had
to
to
cut off.
fly. The other guys tried to fly around the mountain. I think that he is hoping to maybe find a good climb and fly a more direct route. But as we can see at the moment, he will need to find something. Otherwise, he will be forced to make a big deviation and fly around the mountain. Oh, he doesn't really have an option now. It looks like he
Yeah,
just
he's
has to
stuck,
climb. Like, his only option is up. That's it.
completely
Uh,
stuck in the valley.
well,
Yeah,
yeah, if you don't want to fly backwards, which is never a good idea if you are trying to win the race,
obviously. Yeah,
right? So his only way is up. So there we go. So yeah, okay. So we can see Arne on this side. Well, this northern side
yeah,
is a little bit more direct. I think that it requires less deviation, but there are some really high mountain passes. But with these great conditions, so many cloud streets, so many nice cumulus clouds, I think that these guys flying on the northern side, they should be able to stay high, and they shouldn't have that much trouble crossing those mountain passes leading to the second endpoint.
yeah. Maybe some pilots didn't take a lift from the beginning. I think they didn't thermal, they didn't cycle, because if they managed well their energy, they slow down when there is a lift, and they go fast when they are at the ceiling, or when they have a straight way to the turn point. So maybe
Yeah,
we are not right now. We are with Janice going to turn point two. Janice took the southern option. The southern option, I can see
yeah.
it on the 2D view, is now splitting a little bit, because it is less straight way to turn point two.
Yeah, it
The
also
ridge is,
depends how high the pilots are, because if
yeah,
somebody
obviously.
is high, they will be able to do what Giannis is just doing. I think that Giannis is in a really good position, but some and to
Mm,
make a slightly bigger
yeah.
deviation. I have flown this particular route a couple of times, not particularly successfully. I've made some mistakes over there, so yeah, I know that now with couple of flights already done, I know that this north route usually works quite well.
Hmm.
And if you are flying on the southern side, you should be flying like Janus, which means really, really high, to be able to make a small shortcut without flying all the way around the mountains.
Yeah, I have a message on YouTube from Johnny D AirC. He's saying, I've been flying AirC, so radio commanded gliders, since 1973. And what is this computer racing? So tonight we are on the Condor 3 soaring software, which is a soaring simulation tool. You can fly with it on your computer. It is not that and will not require a really gamer PC. It works well on multiple PCs. You can learn how to fly on Condor. There are multiple lessons on it. You can fly on your own on different landscapes, and you can participate to competitions like this one. So there are multiple players, pilots on the same server. So this is, he asked also, is this a real flight? So this is not a real flight. This is uh, not real flight. This is virtual flying, virtual gliding. So every pilot we can see here, we can see at Zbistech Chosk, Zulu Bravo Yankee. It is a real pilot during behind his computer, and he's flying this glider. We are now in spectate mode, which means that we are looking at all the pilots at the same time. They are all connected to a same server, and they are racing 272 kilometers task that the task setter designed for this purpose. Tonight, this is friendly competitions, so they are fighting for a title, but it is not an official title. But as you can see on top of your screen, we are FAI eSports series, FAI virtual gliding. So when we organize a world championship or stuff like that, we can give the official world title, which is a FAI diploma, and yeah, we can give the official world champion virtual gliding diploma. We have 4 servers tonight, about 60 pilots connected on the servers. And yeah, feel free to ask any question you want. So you said that there are nice graphics. So yeah, all the landscapes you can see here are um, how can I say that, different. So there is a specific landscape for the Alps. There is another one for Slovenia, etc. This is not a worldwide landscape as other software like Microsoft Flight Simulator or stuff like that. And there are people who design the landscapes. They are using some tools I didn't know quite well, but they are using some tools to give the altitude, to give the textures. They are putting some trees, some buildings, etc. To make it the as more realistic as it can. It takes a lot of time, and they do it for free. So thank you very much to all the people that are doing some landscapes. And which is really great is that we can have a 3D view with this different different ribbons sorry, after the pilot, so we can follow the race very closely, and we can extract some additional data to display the name of the pilot, the altitude, the speed, the average speed on the task, etc. That can give us way more information to comment this race and to make it really thrilling for you, the viewers. Uh, yeah, I think I've said pretty much everything about virtual gliding and what we are doing here, commenting this race in a Sunday evening. But
Yeah, yeah. I think that just a question was a great compliment to the developers of Condor. If somebody's wondering if this is a real race
yeah,
or a video game or video simulator, like a computer simulator, just that means that it's really well made. And of course, as you've already mentioned, Jean David, the terrain is based on the real satellite data. The forest, the cities, everything is made to be as close to the real world landscape as possible. So every single mountain you see here is pretty much the same in the real world. So that's why this is called a complete glider simulator. We are not, these guys flying here are not treating this as a game. They are really serious about that. And again, the level of realism is quite high in general. So if you've never tried, just Google Condor Soaring Simulator and find out more about that.
yeah. And
Right.
something interesting, just to end up this discussion, is in real flying, we are not able to display as well as this is, because sometimes the pilot have some small trackers in it and we lost the signal. So for some minutes, we don't know where the pilot is. But on Condor, as we have a live connection to the server and to the pilot's position, we're able to display the full race in 3D view like that. And this is way better than in real life. Back to the race, Vitold.
Yes. I was going to suggest that we need to get back to the race. Looks like I'm not sure which group is in the lead now, but we can see this group over here has quite a few strong pilots, and the pilots who are currently leading the race. Leading the competition. We can see Janis in behind. We also see at the moment Jan, a really strong counter pilot as well. Guys are trying to climb a little bit higher to stay close to this cloud base. Oscar 9 Frank has just joined the same thermal. I think this is the bunch that is flying on the southern side, right? Am I right?
Wow.
Yes.
That was our talking about 210.1. There is no big split up, but now 210.2, multiple options, multiple deviation, and personal routes depending on their altitude and on their choices. So Arne Martin seems to be leading this race
Yeah, and
right now.
I think that we can slowly see that probably the northern route was a little bit better. For the main reason is that the mountain range is kind of more straight and more even, which means that there was probably a nice cloud street, and they were able to continue flying along this mountain range, continuously climbing without really stopping. We see on the southern side this leading group, which is the furthest to the like southeast of the view that we are looking at. They had to jump quite a few, well, a valley, which means that always if you're flying across the valley without the mountain ridge and without nice cloud street above you, well, this leads to a loss of altitude. And then when you arrive to the next ridge, which is quite short, if you look in a direction towards the next endpoint, there is not that much time to actually climb again. So the only option is really to stop and regain the altitude. But well, obviously stopping does not help to improve you the average speed. So I think that the guys on the northern side, leading but Arne Martin, Alpha Mike at the moment, are probably in a slightly better position right now. But it's quite interesting to see this bunch of guys flying in the middle. I've never actually flown that particular route, so it's hard to say how well it works. But yeah, the northern route seems to be better so far. But well, we will see. I think that it's all going to. We will see everything at the at the second turn point.
Yeah.
That's when we will really see which path was better. And as you can see now on the left side, these mountains are quite high, and there is not that much space between the cloud base and the mountain itself, the peaks of the mountains. That's why I said that these guys who are flying on the northern side, they will need to be high pretty much all the time to be able to make those passes without stopping. Yeah.
Mhm.
Arna is quite high at the cloud base. Juliet Alpha Mike is also very, very high. But the thing is that now they will have quite a long distance to fly across the valley.
I think that's what the southern option is afraid of, because they decided to stop just before leaving this ridge. They have a longer distance to the next mountains, and you need to avoid being low. So just for the record, Johnny said that we have an echo on the previous screen. Thank you. It seems to be fixed. Thank you for your comment. It helps us to improve uh, each time. Thank you, Timothy. So Uwe Melzer, southern options, decided to climb in a good lift, 4.3 meters per second, almost 5. So this is an average value speed on 20 seconds, if I can remember well. So it is not instant value as it was, but it's an average value. And there it is. They decided to go to the next mountain straight to 10.2.
Yeah, so that was definitely a very strong climb. So again, they decided to refill the energy to be able to cross this ridge again with such a strong thermal. This is another thing maybe worth mentioning for less experienced pilots. There is something what is called the McGreevy theory, which pretty much dictates on how fast you should be flying between thermals, and conditions like this, when there is when the thermals are like 5 meters per almost 5 meters per second, mean that you can afford to fly really fast between the thermals. And that's why we can see right now Uwe Melzer 270 kilometers per hour, pretty much close to the VNE velocity never exceeded of this Diana 2 glider. So yeah, really fast race so far. We will see if they will be able to continue flying that fast. I suspect that maybe going into the wind is going to be a bit more challenging, because we have to remember that after 10.2, we've got a big maze of valleys and ridges. But well, if they stay high, they might be able to just fly on top of it without much
Mhm.
trouble. We will see.
Yeah. So a message from It's Dens on Twitch. So he's asking, what is it? So we just tell what this is about a few minutes ago, but just a small recap. So we are flying right now on the Condor 3 simulator software. So this is a simulator of gliding. Every glider you can see here is is piloted by someone, a real pilot behind his computer, and we are flying the eighth race and the final race of a friendly competition, the eSports series. We can see this on the 3D view, an external view of the Condors is a spectate mode, and there is a 272 kilometers race. We have now flown 110 kilometers for the best pilots right now. Thank you, Timothy, for this overall view. So, as you've mentioned before, there were not so much space between the clouds and the mountains, so they need to go through some places, special places where they can go through. Thank you, Timothy.
Yeah, they will need to
Yeah,
find
between
some
the peaks. Yeah.
mountain passes that are low enough and below the cloud base, because obviously they cannot fly through the cloud if there is a when the cloud can potentially be hiding a peak of the mountain. So flying in clouds is not allowed. They will need to find a low mountain pass to go between the peaks and to continue. And as you can see now, we've got all the pilots all over the place. We've got a lot of pilots on the south. I think that those pilots were too low to be able to make a direct cross. As a result, they had to make a bit of a deviation, which will cost them some time. Majority of pilots decided to fly on the northern side, and now they're joining together with the group from the south, everybody coming towards the first endpoint. Looks like Arne Martin Göttler, Alpha Mike, is in the lead. But I don't think we will have to have a look at the 3D view and the altitudes of different pilots. It will now be quite important how high they are. Looks like Arne decided to, instead of flying directly towards the turn point, he decided to deviate a little bit to the east. Maybe he's just trying to preserve his altitude as much as possible to be in a good position after this turn point and be able to fly into the wind, um, and still be able to cross all these mountains that they will have to cross after turning the second turn point.
Yeah, obviously we'll see that. So Johnny said that he only flown 2 hours in real glider, and the gliders we are following looks like the ASW20, but it is the Diana 2 gliders because we are on a monotype race tonight. The Diana 2 is the only glider allowed, so you will be able to see only Diana 2 tonight. And we are with Alex. But we have Kuba just in front of him, and Arne Martin should be on his right. Yeah, Alpha Mike is here.
Yeah, I think that this view clearly explained what Arne Martin was doing on the right side, because as you can see, this guy's Kuba decided to go directly to the turn point without making deviation, but Arne decided to use this last cloud before actually going towards the turn point.
Yeah.
We must not also forget about the guys on the left. They might be in a very good position because they're now approaching to these few tiny clouds on top of the hills. This is exactly what we were talking about before. As you can see, we have now reached a different weather zone. The weather over here, where the second turn point is, looks completely different. We don't have as many clouds, but those tiny clouds on tops of those peaks, they may work quite well because the settings in terms of the thermal strength was very similar to the main weather zone. There was just the clouds supposed to be slightly smaller here. But they could potentially get a quite good lift and arrive at the second endpoint quite high, which will be very useful for the next leg and crossing the mountains into the wind. So yeah, Anna is now arriving to the second endpoint. Reasonably high, 2,200 meters. The cloud base was not much higher than this, so I think that he did what he could in terms of preserving his altitude. Now it's going to be interesting to see how is he going to get across the mountains, flying to the south. Yeah, in the distance we can see Sierra Hotel Tango being a little bit higher because
Mhm.
I think that they've probably used a bit of a lift available on that peak, so they will arrive to the 10 points slightly higher. And in gliding in general, altitude always opens more options because, as you can see now, we are flying into the wind. The sun is on the other side of the mountains, so the thermals will start from the on the southern will form on the southern side of the mountains. So they will need to be high enough now to make it to the area where they can catch some good thermals again.
Yeah, so Arne Martin turned the turn point two in first position. Then we have Kuba, Jedruskevich, and then Alex Olsweiler. Great for these three pilots, or maybe it was Bistiech in the third position. I can't remember. What's the
Yeah.
point of what I would say is that Kuba is in a really great place for the overall ranking because he's currently the second on the overall ranking, just after Frank Schweigweder, Oscar Niner, but Oscar Niner is a little bit after this. So Kuba is well placed right now. Arne Martin is in eighth position.
But
Would
again,
be
we are
very
we
interesting.
we we are we are approaching the phase of the race where a lot can change. This is going to be crucial for these guys
Yeah,
in front here to be able to. Looks like they chosen pretty much a direct route over the highest mountains. So it looks like there is a little bit of a valley that they can follow, but they will need to find some good climbs. But I think they've got a very good chance to do so because they are going to arrive above this the peak of this first hill, and that's what it looks like. And if they can catch a good climb here, they will be in a really good shape. I just
yeah,
wonder if we could zoom out a little bit. I just wonder if other pilots are following the same path, or maybe they've decided to go a little bit to the right. No, looks like
no,
after turning this first endpoint, as you can see, it was possible to go more into the west, more like back towards the 10.1 into that valley, and maybe climb there and go a little bit around. But it looks like majority of the pilots are just they decided no, we are just going to go straight, hoping for
yeah,
some good lift. Yeah, but it's nice to see that the pilots really recognize the fact that they have to arrive to the second 10 point quite high, and most of them well arrive at enough altitude to hopefully be able to connect with the thermals, the first thermals, in the main weather zone when there's lots of clouds and quite good lift.
yeah. After the turn point two, we can see here with the 3D view that we have the turn point three on the left of your screen, Lecce Blade, and the way to turn point three is quite straight compared to the heading they are taking right now. After the turn point two, they decided to follow the straightest way, and there were some clouds aligned, so the cloud streets direct to turn point three. So maybe I would done the same just after turning to turn point two. It
Yeah,
seems
and
to be quite
this is like
logical.
what we see on the screen now is really interesting. As you can
Yeah,
see, Zbyszek was just enough to arrive to the top of this mountain, which I think is quite crucial. There were some guys thermaling above him. Looks like he's now started turning as well. So well, good decision, very good use of a gliding computer, because we must also maybe it's worth mentioning that these guys are hardly well, most of them use additional software on that
mhm,
you can pin into your visual reality headset that allows you to see a lot of very useful information in terms of the terrain, helps tremendously with navigation, and helps to plan how fast to fly at every stage of the race. So Zbyszek, looking at his glide computers, well, gauged very well his speed and arrived at enough altitude to be able to climb. So well done. We can see now that Kuba and Arne are doing quite well. It looks like Kuba really managed to find the core of this thermal quickly, because he was behind Arne, but now managed to get on, I think, already on top of him. I am not sure if they are thermally in exactly the same place. Maybe not, but yeah, so far, Kuba, very good. But now he will have to leave this thermal first, because he cannot climb into the cloud, which means that he will lose the advantage of following the other pilots, and now will be in a little bit of risk. Because, well, if he misses a good thermals and others behind him manage to catch it, uh, well, that could
that's where the big difference
potentially,
are
and
made.
yeah, yeah, and this is also quite good about this sort of race. I'm not sure if we've mentioned this, that this is a regatta race, which means everybody starts at the same time, and whoever gets to the finish line first wins the race. It's different compared to like a classic gliding competition, when people can start the race at different times, and whoever achieves the highest average speed wins. Here, you can clearly see what the situation is. Whoever is in front is well and high is in the lead. We have to remember this is a three-dimensional race, so it's not just about who is closer to the finish line. It's also about who is the highest, because at the end of the race you can convert this potential energy into kinetic energy, fly really fast, and potentially overtake those guys who are in front of you. But yeah, Cuba so far doing really well. We've got this next group. I think that this was all the result of the fact that they chose different paths after the first endpoint. So as we can see, the guys who flew on the northern side are now in the lead. The guys who were on the southern side are now playing a catch-up game, but there is still a lot of race to fly.
Mhm.
Anything can happen. So, and knowing these pilots, they are very determined. They are not going to give up. They will try to do the best,
Obviously.
and everything can change.
Yeah. So you spoke about external softwares. I have to say that we are able to display some live streams for any pilots who send us their own stream. So if you are doing so, please send us a message with your live stream, and we will be able to display your live view. It's always interesting to see what you are seeing during the race in this type of race. So it is friendly, so there is no much things to obtain at the end of this race, but you can share us your screen. It is very interesting. And as you mentioned, we can pin out some other softwares, but what is the external software? Because Condor 3 have implemented the LX Nav software, the LX 9000.
Yeah, I
So there
guess.
are other ones, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's really worth mentioning that this is another big change in Condor 3 compared to the previous versions. That now we've got a fully functional simulator provided by the by the LX company, which is LX Sim, which has exactly the same functionality, exactly the same. Well, can be used in exactly the same way as the real LX 9000 flight computer. So this is the really high end glide computer that pilots are using in the real world in a very sophisticated and high level gliders. There are also some other options that pilots can use. There is XESOR, is a well known software that many real world pilots use. There's also LK8000. There's probably some other options as well, which I have personally not explored. But I know that these guys are. It is at the end of the day, it's a personal preference, and it's great that we've got so many options. I know that some of these guys flying here, they are just flying with LX 9000, which is built into Condor 3. I know that some of them are using a different glide computer that is also built, the default glide computer that is built into Condor 3, and they are using an external software like some of them XESOR, some of them LX8000. There is many different options available, but that's great. That just means that people can do whatever they feel is most comfortable for them. It doesn't really give them any sporting advantage because it's more important about how well they can use the software rather than which software they use. So if you are wondering like which one is the best, well, it doesn't really matter that much. The best is the one that you can use most efficiently and most proficiently.
Yeah. And
Right. Let's yeah.
on
Let's have a
on your side, what are you using when you're
on
playing?
so I've tried all sorts of the different things. I've been using LK8000 since like forever, so
Yeah.
I'm so used to it that I still use LK8000 combined with the default Condor PDA. I have done some flying
Yeah.
with Alex 9000, but personally, again, I'm just, it's a matter of habit. I'm just used to the LK 8000, and that is really the only reason why I keep using it.
Okay. So just for the information, I have some news from Antoine Haver, who is commenting the race. The ridges. So
Yeah. I think I can see him on a map now. We can see him just a little bit west from the long
oh
string
yeah,
of
yeah, I can
gliders.
see it.
That's Hotel Victor Tango. I think that's Antoine. I'm not sure if he's on the list. Well, he's not on the list on the right side, which means that he must not be particularly high,
Yeah, I can
because obviously
see it
this.
is 2,400 meters. So still
Okay,
correct. Still okay.
yeah, they're still okay, but compared to some guys who are almost at 3,000 meters or yeah, 2,600, that is a little bit. He is a little bit lower. So yeah, but it looks like he's taking a slightly different route compared to the others.
Yeah. Maybe Timothy, you can unzoom a bit just to have an overview on this task. So thank you very much. We are flying the race 8 of the eSports Series 2025, the first competition of the FAI on Condor 3 soaring software. This is 272 kilometers tasks in triangle. So here you can see the different pilots just turned the turn point 2. They are now going to the southeast to Lecce and then they have just a small reporting point before the finish line. I think we have 100 kilometers left. We'll try to fix this as fast as we can.
Right, so they're now approaching to a quite crucial part of the task, because those mountains are going to turn into a quite big valley in a minute. So they will have to cross the valley, flying into the wind, and then on the border between Austria and Slovenia, there is a quite high mountain range which they will have to cross. So it's going to be interesting to see what strategy they will employ to get to Slovenia across the mountains. Right. I think that we hopefully will be getting back our 3D view soon to have a look what's happening in this leading group. But it's nice to see here people from all the servers. Looks like Antoine is getting.
Yes, I have switch to another server, to the server B. We will be able to see other pilots in other conditions, maybe in different position. As you can see on this screen, I can't see the different names on server A, so maybe they are disconnected. They are able to continue the race. If they are connected in the start, it's okay. They will be able to send us the flight track to score their flights, even if the end of the flight was done offline. Thank you, Timothy, for managing all these IT problems. We are now in server B with Dirk Raphael. He just turned the turn point 2, and we have Sierra Whiskey Delta, SWD, and W Romeo U. Further on the track, Andreas Milnis, thank you, with India Kilo going to turn point 3.
Yeah,
And
that is, the disconnection is a bit unfortunate, but it's a good thing that the pilots can still continue the race. What will happen for them is that they will just not be able to see the other pilots anymore, which means that now the race will, for those on the server that just disconnected, the race will turn into more individual flying. Sometimes this could be helpful, because seeing the other pilots around puts quite a lot of pressure. But now they will just be every pilot will just be able to focus on the terrain ahead of them, the clouds ahead of them, and they will just try to get to the finish line as quickly as they can. So the nature of the race is going to change a little bit for them, but they will still be able to continue and eventually send the flight truck to the Condo Club, and then we'll be able to see who actually won the race. Okay, on this server over here, it looks like the pilots are taking pretty much the same route as the pilots on the other server. We can see Andreas here quite high, 2,500 meters, using the energy of this clouds along those ridges nicely. So I think we can see India Kilo ahead of us. Is he flying towards the third 10 point? If yes, he's in a pretty good position because he's quite high.
Yeah,
Yeah,
following the cloud streets to 10.3.
yeah. Yanis quite looks like there's some other yeah, India Kilo. I think that India Kilo is also in a pretty good position, quite high. But it will be interesting to see how they will manage to get across the mountains between Austria and Slovenia. They still have a quite long way to go to get to those mountains, but potentially this mountain crossing could be a bit challenging. Well, we'll see. Yeah, India Kilo really high. Exactly. Yeah, in a very good position. Looks like on the just on the west from his position, Whiskey Romeo uniform, climbing. How probably he also realized that altitude is quite important at this stage, and decided to climb to the cloud base. Yeah, so ahead of us now we see these mountains, and after that there's going to be a quite a long way to cross the valley, and the mountains on the other side of this valley, which slowly start and quite a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, this is a very quite a risky decision from India Quebec. He decided to go straight to the cloud between him and the third turn point. Safer route would be to go clouds to clouds, maybe on the western solution on the right on your screen, but it may pay off because some pilots decided to do the deviation, but as it is a straight away, if the lift at the end is good, it will be faster to go straight to this way. I think it's a typical Condor 2 behavior because in Condor 2 we had less sync rates between the cumuluses, and it was easier to go straight to the next cumulus and hoping that we have a better climb rate. But in Condor 3 the weather have been changes into the modeling, and now we can see different behavior from the pilots, and they change their routes. They're deviating a little bit more to follow the cloud streets and to avoid the think rates around.
Yeah, it definitely pays off, and that's very similar to the real world. It's definitely to pay off. It definitely pays off to fly in a lift for as often as and as long as possible. So as we could see, India Kilo, he has to cross the valley. He's been flying for quite a bit with no clouds above him, which means that his glider was continuously descending, and even if he will manage to get to this next cloud, he's going to arrive relatively low and will have to invest some time to climb again. So I think that the pilots who are maybe flying a little bit more to the west, they've got more clouds along the route. So yes, they are deviating a little bit, but like I previously said, it's this is a three-dimensional race. It's not always the shortest path is not always the fastest. Let's put it that way. So. mm yeah, preserving the altitude and staying high could be a good decision at this stage of the race. But India Kilo is approaching a quite big, nice, puffy cloud, which is just on top of this hill. So let's hope that he will be able to find a good climb there, because this is and Andrews over here is also flying towards some nice clouds on top of the mountain. So hopefully he will be able to build up his altitude again and be in a good position for crossing of the valley. Before the race, looking at the task, I was considering different options. Some pilots might decide to go just straight towards a 10.4 and just hope that they will be able to climb in a valley high enough to make the pass. Other pilots, and I think Francois over here might be one of these pilots. As we can see, he's deviating a little bit to the west or to the right of the track, because these mountains between Slovenia and Austria are a little bit lower on the western side. So well, he may not need as much altitude to be able to get to Slovenia. In a worst case scenario, very near to the starting point where we started, there is actually a gap in the mountains, so you could get to Slovenia even if you are quite low. So it is definitely a safer option to fly a little bit further to the west. But of course, for your safety, you have to pay with the additional distance that you have to travel, which could potentially have a negative effect on your final result. But straight line, more risky. If it works out, great.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, it could potentially cost half an hour.
Yeah, obviously. So you spoke about Slovenia. Maybe we can go to the 2D view, because we will cross a border between Austria and Slovenia. I think that some pilots in other server are close
Yeah,
to this border.
not yet, but it looks like we've got Echo Uniform Sierra
Yeah,
in the lead, but he's not on the list on the right side, so that means that he's not particularly high. So I don't know. He seems to be flying directly towards the 10.4, but I'm not sure if he's high enough to make the pass. We can see Davis Chaplin's Delta Charlie 1
yeah,
now
he's crossing the
deviating
valley of Villach.
slightly towards Klagenfurt. Maybe he spotted some clouds on the hills ahead of him and decided to fly there to gain more altitude to be able to make the pass. So the next couple of minutes are going to be quite interesting. So maybe we
Yeah,
could zoom in a little bit to be able to see this guys who are just leaving the final mountain. Yeah, there we go. So um, quite a few pilots in this group. And of course, we cannot see the pilots from the first server, right? Because
yeah,
server A, because if they are disconnected, they will not be
yeah. The
shown
server
here.
is down,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah. Let's have a look at Antoine. Antoine is with this group over here as well. There's also David Redmond there. Uh, let's have a look at David Redman is on the list at 2,400 meters, so he is
Yeah, quite high.
in a reasonable position mm, to to dash across this valley in hope of reaching Slovenia.
So David Renman, Davis Champions, and Antoine Ave are on the same server, the server D. So we will join them in a few minutes to have a closer look on how Antoine is flying tonight. He's continuing to send us messages. He said that there are so many cloud streets today. The task is super fast, and I think he's enjoying this end of the weekend.
Yeah, but it would definitely interesting to see Davies now flying if he will be able to make the pass. And in terms of this group, I'm trying to see at the map, look at the map, and look at the altitudes. Who is in a really good position over here? Uh, I'm looking at Alpha Bravo Alpha. Where is he on the map? I can't quite see him, but he's really high. So yeah, we can see Yarmo, Juliet Kilo Kilo. As you can see, he flew a little bit further to the west because I think that he is hoping to cross these mountains, despite maybe not being as high as it would he would need to be if he just flew in a straight line. So maybe if we could just pan the map a little bit to the south to just have a look at these mountains that they are just about to cross. So yeah, there we go. There is this big mountain range that they will have to cross, and now it's going to be quite interesting to see if all these icons will safely make it through this purple line going from west to east, which indicates the border between Slovenia and Austria, or
Exactly.
if they just bounce off it and will have to go back to Austria to regain some altitude and maybe try again later.
Yeah, so these mountains are about, I can see where Yamo is. So Yamo is at 1,600 meters. 1,600 and 1,700. So he needs to find the pass. There is one way between the two peaks that climbs to 1,400 meters. So he only have uh, 150 meters to go through this mountain, but he's doing it. The pass is just where he's going right now.
Yeah,
So Yamo
I
will,
think that if he's got 200 meters above the lowest pass, he should be able to make it. I'm sure
yeah.
he's flying, also carrying quite a bit of kinetic energy, flying fast. He will be able to pull up a little bit, gain a bit more altitude, and make the pass. But that's again, this is going to be quite crucial in this race, especially for those guys who are fighting for the first place in the competition, because it's going to be maybe, to be honest, disconnecting of the server might be a bit of a blessing, because otherwise they could feel a pressure of other pilots chasing them, and they could potentially push a little bit too much and as a result get stuck. But now with
Yeah.
no other pilots around them, they will be able to just focus on making this pass. So I think that this connection could potentially mean that fewer pilots will actually get stuck.
Yes, thank you, Timothy. We are back on server C, sorry, with Davis Chapins. He's going through the ridges. They are they are the border between the Austria and Slovenia. We can see on the back right now the lakes next to Klagenfurt, and Davis is going through the mountain. So yeah, there were two different decisions. Some of the pilots went to the shortest way to the mountains. They decided to be on the left of your screen right now, maybe on the west part, going through the mountain, and then they will be able to follow the different ridges. And additionally, we can see a really great cloud streets above the ridges. So it seems to be like a highway to turn point 4. They just have to follow the different ridges. Really interesting to see if they will be able to catch up. The pilots decided to join these ridges a little bit on eastern parts, but to be more on the east rims, with being closer to turn point 4, turn point 3, sorry. We can see that Davis here is closer to 10.3. He has flown 208 kilometers. He just have 64 kilometers to go to the end of this race. So he's currently leading this server, and is climbing really well, going at 140 kilometers per hour and climbing at 4.5 meters per second, straight line. Really interesting to see if he will take the time to cycle and climb, knowing that he's the first on this server. Sometimes knowing that you are the first, you are taking more safer decisions. You stop a bit and you climb, knowing that you have some kind of an advantage. The distance you've already flown can be converted into potential energy, which make the flight safer. But at the same time, I know that he want to win all the server taken into account, so he'll fly fast as he can. But the clouds are really great, and we can see here Victor Brugier just behind DC1. Is a little bit lower than them, 1,700 meters approximately. He, if he had too much sync right now, maybe it would be tricky to go through the mountains. But he crossed the fingers, and we will see it in a few minutes.
Yeah, I think that he will still make the pass, and Davies has done a great job. Looks like
Yeah.
his decision to fly um, towards this particular mountain pass was really good. I again, I'm pretty sure that he must have looked at his navigation software, maybe at LX or some other flight computer, to see which is the lowest point on this mountain ridge. He calculated well his speed on his way to this mountain pass, and as a result was able to make the pass. And we must not forget that on this side in Slovenia, um, excuse me, the weather setting was better. We should have some strong thermals here, so that's why it was definitely a good idea to fly as fast as possible to get to the southern side, and then climb really quickly, and that's exactly what Davies has done, and he's in a great position, at least on this server.
Yeah, so Victor joined the way to turn point 4. Following the ridge, he managed to pass the mountain pass. Golden Eagle, Golf Echo 7 goes fast, 230 kilometers per hour, just into the mountain pass. That's it. You are now on the good side. Climb and go fast to turn point 4. Join Victor. Will he stop or will he continue? That's a key moment right now. We know that there are better climb rates, but is it worth it to climb and to wait by cycling, or going
Yeah.
straight and trying to climb as fast as
Yeah,
possible,
looks
sprint?
like he decided to climb, and I think it's, especially if the lift is strong, it pays off to climb a little bit at the beginning of the ridge, because then it gives you access to this cloud streets on top of the ridge, and you can then continue flying really fast. Davies, I'm not sure if he climbed to the cloud base before flying, well, moving towards the next endpoint, but I think that he should be pretty safe to reach the turn point and then come back to these ridges, and then from there it should be a reasonably easy job to get back to the finish line. So they will now fly towards this turn point that we can see on the right side of the screen. They will then come back pretty much to the same mountain ridge as they are flying now, will fly along it in the western direction, and at some point they will have to make a decision to go back to Austria. So it's going to be interesting to see at which point they will decide that it's time to actually fly north to the lee side of the mountain and just fly towards the finish line.
Yeah, there is only 50 kilometers between the turn point 4 and the finish line, 37 between the turn point 3 and the reporting point, and then 13 kilometers for the last leg. They are flying quite fast. Davis is flying at 168 kilometers per hour, and the other are 10 kilometers per hour lower speed. We can see that our friend Antoine is flying at 154 kilometers per hour. Maybe we can go seeing Antoine. Antoine is in a great position right now. He's really high, 2,400 meters, and I think he's trying something. He's trying to go straight to the turn point 4, not helped by the different mountains on the left. Quite interesting strategy. I think he's betting his last energy points that he has to take the lead. He's waving for us. Hi, Antoine. Interesting decision from him right now, and
Mhm.
he's saying hello on the Twitch chat. And if you are watching us, please send us messages to support one of the pilots, to ask any question you want if you are curious about how we fly, what is this software, what is it, something like that. So please ask your questions and do not forget to subscribe on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, or Instagram, Facebook, etc. to follow uh, our stuff and to be aware of the next races.
Yeah, looking at Antoine and the Golf Echo 7 on the left side, I think that it was probably worth making a small deviation to these mountains, climb really, really high, maybe to the cloud base, because this standpoint is quite a bit from the mountains. So flying to the standpoint and then back to the mountains might potentially end with well, arriving quite low to the mountains. But maybe again, it's difficult to say because the finish line is not that far away. They still have quite a lot of altitude, like Antoine is over 2,000 meters, so they might be very close to reaching the final glide, which means altitude that arrives will allow them to safely reach the finish line. So maybe Antoine decided that he doesn't need to climb anymore, and that it's actually time to take a bit of a shortcut, and rather than flying around following the ridges, to just fly directly to the 10 point.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think David over here, David Redman, Romeo Echo Delta is chasing Davies. Davies over here now on our screen, 206 kilometers per hour. I am not sure how far behind David is. I am just wondering if there is any chance that he could potentially be able to catch up with Davies, but maybe
yeah.
not because he's just getting to the 10 point, right? So he is quite a bit behind.
Yeah, it will be difficult because Davis already turned the turn point 4, and David, the red man right now, will join him. Maybe just have a small look on the average speed to have the actual ranking on this server. We know that Davis Chapins is the first from USA, and David Redman should be the second. We have other pilots from other server that turned the turn point 3 already, but David is the second on this server. Congratulations to Davis and David for turning these turn points, first and second, respectively. And Antoine Aves seems to be the third pilot that will turn the turn point. We are now above the airfield of Lecce Bled. On the right, we have a small lake of the Blade Village. Quite interesting area. There were a Grand Prix last year organized in this area, the Slovenian Grand Prix, the real one. And yeah, Antoine is going to turn the turn point 3 in the third position on server C.
And yeah, in the competition that you just mentioned, it was an 18-meter glider competition, but there was one day with an amazing weather when the average speed was something like 180 kilometers per hour. So it looks like today, well, we are flying a slightly smaller glider with maybe a bit less performance because of the limit of the wing loading. But still, looking at the speeds of 160, 170, which I think the speed will improve now because obviously
Mhm.
pilots will not have to stop anymore. They are very close to the final glide. They may be able to reach the clouds on top of the mountains, which will help them to preserve altitude or maybe even climb and achieve a very comfortable high speed final glide. So yeah, the average speed should be just increasing from now on. So we might be getting quite close to something like 170 kilometers per hour in this race.
Yeah,
So we can see that the
yeah, as we
Golf Echo
mentioned
7 decided, I think, to go back to the mountains,
directly. Yeah,
preserve his altitude. It will be quite interesting to see if he will be able to overtake Antoine before the finish line, because they
yeah,
they
a
took
little
they
bit
took a
higher,
slightly, yeah. Looks like Antoine is just following the middle of the valley,
straight path.
following this little cloud street over here,
Mhm.
but Golf Echo 7 went straight back to the mountains.
And
I
I have a small comment here. They say that the Condor soaring software is kind of coming from Lecce Blade because Uros, who developed Condor, comes from Slovenia. It comes from Lecce Blade. So Condor kind of come from this place.
Yeah, that's this. Excuse me. Traditionally, this area was always in Condor. That has always been a default landscape in Condor. While the current Slovenian landscape is bigger than the previous version, so the area reaches further in all directions, in all four directions: west, east, north, and south. And so, yeah, this is pretty much where Condor was born.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Antoine, we could see that I think he tried to climb a little bit in the middle of the valley,
Hmm.
which didn't quite work out because he's now continuing and getting a bit low. And yeah, but he still got some really good clouds. But he's not flying under these nice nice clouds on the right side that we can see in the distance. So, like I said, I think that this is going to be a very interesting and instructional to see the difference that it makes if somebody will fly along the ridges and extract more energy from them. We can see Davies over here following the ridges. He will probably push on a little bit further to the west before jumping to the northern side and flying towards this turn point that we can see in the distance over here. This is the last turn point of the race,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. He could potentially make a pass right here and just fly towards the standpoint, but maybe it's a better idea to just carry on a little bit further to the west and then make a pass. Well, we'll see what he is going to do.
Maybe we'll go to the 2D view to have a better idea of where we are right now and what does this implies to go straight to the turn point or to continue flying the ridge. So yeah, we can see that all the pilots are almost coming to the turn point and going back to the ridges. Some of them are going straight, taking straight away to the turn point. DC1 is on the top left of your screen. And if he continues to follow the ridges, he needs to make a big deviation to the left on the west. But right now, at the mountain and at the peak are not so high, he can continue straight to the final turn point. The final turn point is a cycle on the top left of your screen. And as we can see right now, he seems to follow a straight way to this turn point. He think he calculates that he's high enough to finish this race. He's on final line maybe.
Yeah, looking at this 2D view, now I'm quite convinced that it was a good idea to come back to the ridges directly after this 10.3, just fly almost straight to the north, join the ridges, climb quite high without stopping or without slowing too much, and then being high enough to just be able to fly directly towards the final 10 point without being worried about being on the lee side of the mountains. We need to think, well, we need to remember that the wind is from the south.
Mhm.
So on the northern side of the mountains, this wind produces some sink. So pilots need to be prepared for that, and they need to be high enough to still be able to reach the turn point and the finish line despite the sink. That's why again getting to the mountains after the 10.3 I think was a better idea.
Yeah, that's what Davis did a few minutes ago, and now he's straight to turn point for the reporting point before going straight to the finish line. And I don't know if he anticipated these little ridges on the right. He may follow it just to gain a little bit of energy, or is enough high to go straight to the finish line.
Well, I think that flying close to to those ridges is a good idea because the deviation is minimal.
Yeah,
They are very close, and even just a little bit of a reduced sink would allow him to just fly faster.
but
So, and
it is,
that's I think that's what he is going to do. I wouldn't recommend in this kind of situation when he clearly has a final glide. I wouldn't recommend slowing down, but that's we
yeah,
can see Davies is an experienced Condor racer. This is not his first rodeo. Let's say he is pushing 262 kilometers per hour. Even if he's flying through some lift over here.
yeah,
This is
I understand.
he knows that he's high enough. He's still got 400 meters left, right? He's currently at 1,000 meters. The finish line is at 600. He's got 400
Yeah,
meters. He's
10,
not
10 kilometers
sinking.
to go.
Yeah, considering the speed, look, almost 260 kilometers per hour, but only 2.5, sometimes 2.8 meters per second sink, which means that these ridges are helping him a little bit in reducing the sink. So yeah,
Yeah,
now maybe you see now there's maybe not that much lift, so suddenly the sink rate dropped to almost 4 meters per second. Yeah, but still 300 meters altitude left.
hmm,
The finish line is approaching very quickly.
yeah, 7 kilometers right now.
Excellent position to win the race on this server, and potentially the whole race. I'm not sure how guys are managed to do on server A. Unfortunately, we got disconnected with server A, so it's hard to say. But Davies is currently in the second position in the competition. He is a very strong
Yeah.
pilot. So I think that he won one of the races previously, flying on a different server as well. We were watching guys on server A, and we were getting really excited about who's going to win the race. But then Davies jumped to the first place from a server that we never looked
Hmm.
at. So
Yeah, you're
he,
right. He won the race number 4.
yeah, so today could potentially be a very similar situation. As we can see, Golf Echo 7, I think that he decided to fly a little bit further along the ridges. I think that he was high enough to just dash towards the finish line the same way as Davies did.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Davis needs to cross the finish line above 508 80 meters. So he's
he's
great position.
easily,
Congratulations,
yeah.
Davis. He's making the show for the last times, last second of this race, pulling up, and here we go. Congratulations, Davis, for this win on server C. You've managed to do a great race. Really impressive way as we just follow your race from turn point 2 to turn point 3. It was really impressive the way he passes the bridges and the border from Austria to Slovenia. And then we have Golden Eagle, Golf Echo 7 in second position, going to the turn point 4. He have
So
he
did
has
he manage to
yeah
overtake David Redman? I thought that David was somewhere in a very good position. Now he is a
yeah
little bit behind,
he's a
and
bit behind.
that is potentially because Golf Echo 7 managed to find a good lift along those mountains and was just higher going towards the previous standpoint. So
And Antoine is behind a little bit higher. I think he will try to push and to go fast to
to
overtake
catch David.
David. Yeah, managing his managing his speed to arrive on the podium on this server.
Yeah, we must not forget that Kondo quite realistically also models the maximal speed that the gliders can reach.
Mhm.
So every glider has a speed, what's called, of velocity, VNE, velocity never exceeded. This above this velocity, real gliders and gliders in the simulator, they could experience a phenomenon called aerodynamic flutter, when the wings will suddenly start flapping around, and potentially in a real glider that's a very dangerous situation. That's why it's called velocity never exceeded, because that could lead to structural damage or even disintegration of a glider, and that's exactly what will happen in Kondo. If you fly
Obviously.
too fast, well, you will lose your wings. They will fall off as a result of a
Mhm.
structural damage. So I'm just saying that Antoine trying to push to catch David
Yeah, there is
needs
a
to be
limit.
he needs to be a little bit careful about not losing his wings. But I think
Yeah.
that looks that okay. This is Golden Eagle 7. He's got 300 meters to spare. I think he's in a pretty much the same situation as Davies was at this stage, so he
Yeah, it
should
seems to be okay.
comfortably reach the finish line. We could maybe have a look now behind him at David. I think David is now probably reaching the same reach. Let's see how high he is. No, who else? What happened with David Redmond? I thought that he was behind. Oh
Okay,
yeah, there
David
we go.
is
Yeah,
behind.
he is behind.
Interesting. David wants to go straight to the finish line. He
Uh,
doesn't take the option to follow the ridges, and maybe it would be interesting to have a little bit of energy because maybe Antoine is just behind. Yeah, Antoine is just behind, going straight to. I think the velocity never exceed
mm,
is about this speed. I think Antoine
yeah,
is
I think
almost
Antoine
at
is
this
pushing at Vienia.
ultimate speed. He's pushing, he's playing his life right now, his virtual life to go and to overtake David Redman. It will be close finish between the two. The last place on the podium is still to take.
I think Antoine will do it. I think that he is.
You think Antoine will do it?
Yeah,
Maybe David will push a little bit at the end. I think it will be a
I don't think that he's got enough altitude to push any
obviously
faster.
he's closer to the mountains. Maybe he's trying to get a little bit energy, not to be taken. It's a little bit too. Okay, so Antoine is pushing. David Redman is fighting for the third place. There is only a few kilometers to go. Right now, 5 kilometers for the last place on the podium. Antoine is pushing. Still, he's faster and faster and faster. When you will see his wing vibrating, this is when Antoine will enter into flutter and this life will be engaged. Just a few
And
meters
that's
between
again
the two pilots.
for moments like this, we encourage everybody to have a go. Try if you're already flying in
Obviously.
Condor, jump into some competitions. Okay, it's situations like this are very exciting. Now I think that the situation has somewhat kind of cooled off because David is a little bit higher, so
Mm-mm.
he can potentially speed up, and I think that Antoine, yeah, unfortunately
It will be
does
hard.
not have that much advantage in terms of speed anymore.
Be
So
careful of the trees.
yeah, the finish line is just too close.
Antoine is pushing 280 kilometers per hour, just trying to catch David Redman. Just a few
No,
kilometers.
yeah, unfortunately, finish line
It
is
won't be
just too
enough.
close. Yeah,
David Redman, congratulations to him, managed to have the last place on the podium. Antoine Ave finishes the race as the fourth position. Congratulations to him.
I,
But
I'm,
the fight for the fifth position is really, really tight also. Pierre-Jean Vincent is leading. You have Kilo, Hotel, and Victor following. They are
yeah,
close to the ground. They are at maximum speed, 250 kilometers, a little bit lower, slower than previously, but Pierre-Jean Vincent managed to have the fifth place. Congratulations, Chris
yeah,
Emir, Kilo Hotel, or maybe just a few meters below the limit because the limit was at 580 meters, and I think I saw
yeah.
571 meters, so 9 meters.
Yeah,
And
I think that he didn't pull up at the end, so maybe he was just
mm,
not aware. He maybe just forgot about the fact that there's a minimum arriving altitude.
and sometimes it's not that difficult, but there were another pilot just a few seconds. We are speaking about seconds right now. We are flying for what, so 2 hours approximately, and 145 minutes, and they are arriving at just a few seconds. And here, just 9 meters may give him a penalty that lose him one place. It's a bit tricky to end this race like that, but this is a game that we have rules for the safety, and just a few meters, maybe one place lost. What a mess.
Yeah.
Very interesting finish for the different places. Hubert Hotel Lima 4 is 6 right now. No, some pilots are disconnecting. So he's
Yeah,
arriving
so
at,
as soon as they disconnect from the server,
yeah.
they are no longer on our list on the left. So it's yeah, Davies won the race, right, and then um, Golf Echo 7 was in the second position.
Mhm.
David, I think, was Romeo Echo Delta was in the third position. So yeah, I'm not sure if there was anybody between David and Antoine, who
Yeah.
is now. But
Yeah, yeah.
Antoine, 163 kilometers per hour, pretty good speed.
Still great. Yeah.
Mm, so well done.
So stay tuned, everybody, because we will try to contact Antoine. Maybe he will join us just with his voice to tell us a few words about the race and how he feels it and how it was. I thought he enjoyed it because with the message he sent us earlier, it seems to be great. Uh, uh, I should have taken his place. He should have commented. I should have flown this race because it seems to be really, really fun. And at the end of this live stream, we have a special announcement for the next event. So we will say a few words about the next event we will organize. So stay tuned until the end of this stream. It shouldn't be shouldn't be long. We will follow the last arrival on this server, and we will contact Antoine in a few minutes. What do you think about this race, Vitold?
It was an exciting, fast race, which I think was nice to finish the competition. I think that what we've discussed before the race, pretty much happened. We had quite a few places where pilots have decided to take different routes. Some on the northern side, some of the southern side. And those who were flying really high were doing quite well. It's a bit unfortunate that we lost connection, but then
Mm,
we jumped to this other server. It looks like Davies has also on the server done the amazing job, finished with the really high speed. It would be interesting to see how his speed will compare to everybody from the other server. So yeah, overall, really nice weather, exciting, fast race with a few tricky points where pilots
Mhm.
needed to maybe slow down a bit and think about the next steps. But overall, I think that this was also a nice race because even those less experienced pilots shouldn't really be struggling to reach the finish line. Sometimes, by the way, if you're watching, if you're thinking that, oh well, this looked really easy, well, it's not always like this. This in this particular race, we had just a really nice weather, but very often conditions are quite tricky, with not that many pilots being able to reach
Mhm.
the finish line. So sometimes it's not just about the speed; it's actually about who is going to make it actually to the finish line.
Yeah, you're fully right. And if you want to join us on this type of event, you are fully free to do it. So it was a friendly event. So even if you are a beginner on multiplayer or you are top players in the world, like we can see Davis, Frank, and all the other pilots, it always a pleasure to follow every pilot and to give something to do to everybody. I've flown just unfortunately one race during an afternoon, and it was really incredible to see the top pilots going really fast. I've tried to catch up many times, but it was too difficult. But I've learned a lot of things. So yeah, do not hesitate to join us. So follow all of our social medias just to stay tuned to the events we're organizing. We have a father of Segidum on Twitch say fun stuff. He was named 821 on the server. Really enjoyed this series. Bummer about the server disconnect through though. Yeah, we are really sorry about that. Really looking forward to following the pro over the last ridge. Yeah, it was really interesting to see that. Planes DE say, guys, this is unfair. The servers were still operatable. Server one's not. We are fully sorry again for this issue, the IT issue. This was really a mess, and we will try to correct it for the next times. This happens. This is a live race. And thank you for all your messages. We will try to get better and better along the years. It's been almost 5 years then that we are doing this stuff. So we'll try to do it as fun as possible on the live stream and as professional as possible on the races. We are doing all we can to get it enjoyable for everyone. I will try to have informations about Antoine if he join us. Oh, the PC just can't hold it anymore. Thank you, Timothy. So just before Antoine arrives, uh, we want to say some stuff about the next event. So the next event we will organize will be dedicated to dual seater glider. So we will try to organize at least two. We will organize something like that. It won't be a competition. It will be just fun flights to enjoy and to discover. So yeah, as I was saying, this will be a special event dedicated to dual seater gliders. So when you join in Condor 3, this new feature enables you to join the glider of another pilot, and you can share the commands between the two pilots. In that way, you can learn or you can share your race. It will be very interesting, and this will be a friendly event just to discover this stuff and to discover how it will be done to score, etc. We'll discover this stuff on the director's part, on the task setter part, etc. So further information on our social media, because the date is not already released, so we will say it on all our social media. We have Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram. So follow us on every social media. You will be able to have all the information for the next events. And we are on TikTok also to have everything. And the best pilot, Antoine Ave. Good evening, Antoine. How are
Uh,
you?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you hear me well?
Really fine.
Perfect. I have the joystick right there, and I have the VR headset right here as well. It was a really fun race, really fast. I hope everyone enjoyed this one. I had my VR that disconnected on between turn point 3 and 4 while going to the finish line, so I had to find a proper thermal joining the rift to turn point 4. So it was not easy, but we made it, and it was super fun to race with David at the end of the race. Wasn't me
Yeah,
any, but
obviously.
I was like, okay. He was pushing as well, and it was not enough, but very fun, very fun.
We saw that you put your speed at the limit to follow David, but it wasn't enough to catch up. And but it was a really fun fight for the third place, for the last place on the podium.
Yeah.
Really interesting to see, and we have to admit that the next place, so the place number 5, was also a really tight fight. It was behind you, so you didn't watch that, but it was really interesting.
Okay.
You will watch this on the replay on the YouTube and Twitch. You will be able to see that.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Antoine, director of the competition, do you have some last word to say on this E-Series 2025 to clear up everything?
No, just a big thank you to everyone involved in the organization, to Vitold, who joined us for the 4 live streamings, which has been much appreciated by us and by the viewers. We've had a few messages about Vitold, so he can come back anytime.
Well, if I may, because we've kind of lost track a little bit, but I just in while you were just describing your fight against David, which was really exciting. I'm just had a look at the results for race 8 on Condo Club, because it looks like the guys have already sent our the fly trucks, and it looks like Davis Chaplins is currently in the lead in the first place.
Mhm.
So actually, the server that we were following turned out to be the fastest. Yeah, I can see Echo Yankee. Jan has already sent his flight track as well. He's currently in 12th position. Frank, I can't see. Yeah, Frank Schwadweger in the 22nd position currently in the race 8. But the first 3 that are currently on Condo Club is Davis Chaplin's in the first position. There's Zbyszek Tkocz in the second position. We've got Thies from Netherlands, Sierra Hotel Tango in the third position. And in the fourth position is Martin Göttler from Norway, Alex in Alex Holzweider from Netherlands in fifth, and Marcin May and Kuba Jędruszkiewicz.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And indeed, I'm just checking this right now, and so David Chapin seems to be the winner, but the second place, Golf Echo 7 on our server, is on the 13th place so far, and for David and myself, we are on 17th and 18th place. So they flew really fast on server 1, even with the disconnect that happened apparently.
Yeah, I wonder now what, of course, we'll have to wait for the official results after everybody has enough time to send the flight tracks. I'm not sure if Davies will be able to overtake Frank in the overall standings or not. I think everybody will have to wait a little bit, and well, we invite everybody to have a look at Counter Club at this competition website, maybe later today or tomorrow, to see what are the final standings for the competition.
Yeah,
And
so
we will post the top 10 pilots on our social media for everybody to know what will be the last overall ranking.
yeah. Thank you, Jean-David. Thank you, Vitold. I think it's time to close the live. for us? Unless you have more questions, I can ask anything. Yeah, the next news will be first on TikTok because we want to promote TikTok a little bit to be able to have the live streaming running on TikTok as well. That's why, and we need 1,000 followers on TikTok. So please go there and just subscribe or create 10 accounts and subscribe if you want to do that. But yeah, let's do that. We have further events coming, and we'll be happy to unveil probably a multi-crew two-seater race or several races in multi-crew coming very shortly. Thank you very much, Vitold. Thank you, Jean-David. And we will see you very soon.
All right. Thank you very much for
Bye
watching,
bye.
everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Sebastian. Also.